And just like every other time, we are back. My name's Charbel, Milan. Today we got,
Abbas from AnA Shawarma.
and this is a timeshare. So Abbas, before we dive deep into the food truck industry, into your journey to get this far, I just want to give you a quick rundown. This is a timeshare, the one and only podcast that's diving deep into people like yourself, people who are innovating, creating, and trying to pave their own way and do something different in this world. So before we get going, if you just want to give people a quick intro on yourself, what you do, and get them up to speed.
Absolutely. So, like I said, my name's Abbas, born in Kenya, Mombasa specifically. Moved out here, like every other foreign parent out there, moved out here because we needed better education and a better life. So we came out from Kenya to Boston, Massachusetts, where I went to school there. I went to Mass College of Pharmacy. I got a major in pharmaceutical science. After I went to college, I was like, okay, typical, go to work 9 to 5. But I couldn't find a job in Boston, so I found my first job here in Atlanta and started working 9 to 5. But I felt like that just wasn't for me because you always have micromanaged people. As a Muslim, we always, go to a Friday prayer and being micromanaged, like what time is this person back? What is he doing at this time? Was never fun. So I decided to go and be my own entrepreneur. And before I went ahead and did that, I had to find a partner. I always loved food. I've traveled all around the world to taste different types of food, different cultures, and I just really like Middle Eastern. So I really like the rice over chicken, something that a lot of New Yorkers do. So I first had my first taste here at some place called Flame Kebab, which is owned by my partner's father. Well, when I went there for the first time, I was very impressed. So I just constantly went there because all the other restaurants I went to wasn't as good. So after I kept going there, I got introduced to his son, whose name was Ozzy, and we became very good friends. And they had a food truck in the back that was abandoned because no one was using it, because his dad was running his own restaurant and didn't have time for that. So that's where I started my journey as a entrepreneur towards the food truck. But what got me to be an entrepreneur in the first place was, I'd say, because of my friends. A lot of them out of high school did the same thing. For example, one of my friends, like Milan, he got out of high school with a good major, started working for a recruiter, had to wake up 5 a.m. He was on the grind, 9 to 5. And he was like, after 2 weeks, he's like, yo, I'm out of here. Then he opened up a solar company. So it's all the grind. It's how
Solo company?
solar company.
Oh, solar.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it was pretty cool, and people like that I surround myself around allowed me to be where I am today as an entrepreneur.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that you do the shawarma, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm originally Lebanese. So,
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, so I know shawarma.
Oh,
in
man.
and out. I know chicken shawarma. I know, I like the chicken shawarma sandwich. Some people like it on a plate. I like the sandwich. But yeah, that's why when you hit me up, I was like, wow, this one's gonna be very interesting. But
Nice. Yeah, not a lot of people know. They say, what's a shawarma? So it's funny. It's funny and awesome to explain to people and allow them to see that expression on their faces when they take a bite of that food. Is just it's what I want to do. So
okay, so you went to college and you got a job, or excuse me, you got a job, but you realized that the 9 to 5 wasn't for you. So when you saw the food truck, was it almost like the vision came to you, or were you already kind of thinking about getting into the food industry? You just didn't know if it was going to be a restaurant, a booth, a kiosk set up at festivals. When you saw the truck, was it like, oh my God, kind of like the house that we were talking about earlier? You were like, I know that I love this house. I know that this is something I want to do. Or did you kind of need to look at it a couple of times and really start to see the vision?
So actually, I've been thinking about the food industry for a really long time. The thing is, I wasn't the best cook. So this is what got me lucky is I found a chef, which is my partner, and he was phenomenal at what he does. And then that's when I came in and, hey, I'm like, I have the money to get a food truck running and I have the talent now. So I started looking for a food truck. And then it just came and I just found one out of nowhere. So it was like
That's a blessing, man.
exactly a blessing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he works for his dad, but you guys got the food truck from his dad.
Correct. We bought it off his dad.
Okay, and then he left working from his dad.
Correct. Yeah.
Was that a conflict of interest at all?
No, I mean he still helps out. We still use his kitchen. We make the same food, so he just has a little bit more items in his kitchen. So it's more of a like that's a sister company. We tell people. So if they're around the area, they can go ahead and
It's like an
taste their
extension.
exactly. Yep.
Wow. Okay, so I know it's gonna be hard for people who are listening to this, but we're at like a office center for food trucks altogether. I didn't know this was a thing, but there's like 20 plus food trucks outside, food trailers. So there's like a community here. And I didn't even know this was a thing, man. I've been living in Gwinnett for a long time and I had no idea that there was like an actual, you could call it like a home station, like a mothership
Yeah.
for all the food trucks. Like, was that something, was this a community you had to like reach out to get into, or was it something that you had to be a part of in order to food truck in general?
Got it. So it's a great way you put it, like a home community. When you start a food truck, not many people know the effort you have to put into to get that food truck started. And one of those is you have to have a commissary. And this is what we call a commissary. So a lot of the people start off with their food truck industry. They start off at a commissary. And then once you get the commissary, you obviously have to have the health department come check it out, make sure it's a clean place. So a lot of people who, like, for example, can't get into the food truck industry, what they do is they open up their own commissary so other food truck people can come in and use their space to make their own food truck. So this is a commissary. A lot of people like Slutty Vegan, for example, they started off here at this commissary. It's not easy to find one, so it definitely took us about, I'd say, like 5-6 months to get a good commissary, because a lot of people don't want to, which is surprising. They just don't want to rent out their space because using their electricity and whatnot, even though you're paying the bills. But this we're lucky we found this place, and we got in just as soon as someone else left. Actually, we got Slutty Vegan's spot.
Wow.
When they left, we got their space.
So it's a tight niche community.
Very tight. Yeah, there's no place to rent right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys took over Slutty Vegan's spot.
Yeah.
Wow. So how does it work? Like, is it the type of thing? Because I know that I'll see it like city parks, events, they'll have like a food truck day,
Mhm.
right? And then,
Yeah.
I was at, what's it called? What was it? I was at Imagine last year and they had
Nice.
a bunch of food trucks there. And I've been seeing them at festivals, but I always thought it was like individual contract thing. Like you reach out and you inquire about being a part of the festival, the gathering, whatever it is, or they reach out to you and hire you. I never knew it was like a community like this. So is being part of the commissary, is that also something that helps you guys get booked for events?
So it's one way to get booked for events. Definitely not. I mean, if you're starting off, this is like how you get help. They help you book events. And like if someone is reaching out for example, like a corporate company, say, hey, we need a food truck. They don't know who to reach out to. This is that place. They'll send an email to the admin. The admin will send out a mass email, say, hey, we have this person looking for this event. Who's available? Like 80% of the time, a lot of people aren't available because they're already are booked in advance. But it's a good place, like I said, to get your foot in the door. And then just, if your food is good, it's going to just boom from there. And a great example is we started going to this one corporate company and everyone knows each other. And he was telling us how, oh, you guys are our company's favorite food truck. So it's because of that. And there's other food trucks here that make shawarmas too, but if you put in the effort and your food is good, you'll win over anyone. So it's you got to put in that effort in order to win.
That's really interesting that you bring that up. I was going to segue into that, but we'll go ahead and dive into it now. As far as the food goes, right? I know that, in order to have a kitchen on wheels, pretty much, there's some things that you have to sacrifice, but at the same time, you obviously want to shoot for the highest quality and the best flavor and all those kind of things. So what are some of the challenges that you've seen from working with your partner who went from being in a restaurant to now being on wheels? What are some of the challenges you guys face? Is it mainly like utility wise, like the equipment you guys have? Or is it like, are some things limited?
So it's definitely limited, but that's when we get lucky where his father owns a restaurant. So it makes our life easier. Yes, like if you're very limited and you have nowhere else to go, you can get everything done in the food truck because you can grill your food and do everything you need to do in the food truck. It's just not efficient. So for him, yes, it's, for example, it's a lot warmer because you have that restaurant, nice cool air, and then you go from a restaurant to a food truck. It's different. You're squished because there's multiple people on the truck. One person's cooking, one person's trying to have good customer service and whatnot. So it's tough, but you get through it. You get used to it. You have to definitely get used to it.
Okay, so I know he's the cook. He takes care of the food side of things. So you're like in the office, right?
Exactly. So I'm more like make sure like finances, everything is good, and our customers are satisfied. At the same time, I have sales experience. Just like any other company, if you want to succeed, you have to make sure you're giving those cold calls, sending those emails out to all sorts of companies, and that's how you grow. And I've just had experience with that, and with that, like the funny thing is, when we first started, because of my previous sales experience, I was lucky enough to land our first event. And that first event, it was a 3-hour event, and we made almost $3,000. So
Wow.
it's just the effort and your food quality.
Wow. So as far as booking goes, like, how is that? Like you guys landed one event that made you guys 3,000.
Our first event too, which was very impressive.
That's how you know you're in the right thing. That's how
Exactly.
you know you found your groove and this is the right thing. It's almost like a signal from the universe.
Yeah,
right?
I was after that event, I just sat down, really meditated. I was like, work 9 to 5, make what, like 250 a day, and then work 3-4 hours and make 3 times, 4 times that money.
Wow.
So it was what really caught my mind. Like, you're working hard for someone else, but in reality, if you work hard for yourself, you can make it somewhere, which a lot of people don't want to put in that effort, which is a big issue.
That's what they say, man. They say a salary is an excuse to push off your dreams and work for someone else's dreams.
Absolutely.
'Cause it does take work, man. I'm looking out this window and I'm seeing them. They're working on their truck. They're just building stuff. I saw another dude. He was like pressure washing. They're unloading
Exactly.
pallets.
It's fun.
Yeah, people are charging things up. How does like utilities work? Because I know that's the kind of stuff that you take care of. How efficient is a food truck in terms of gas, power? Like, how does it work? Because I know you guys got to keep the thing running.
Absolutely. So you really, I mean, when it comes to that, it's like a regular car. You really have to just maintain it. Make sure you're doing oil changes on time. The lucky thing is it's a truck, so it'll last 400, 500,000 miles. So if you are doing things the right way, a lot of people, what the issue is eventually we move up the chain. We have other people work for us. And when those other people,
You think you can pull this a little closer?
oh yeah,
Yeah, my bad.
and when those other people are working for us, that's when it comes where people won't tell you, oh, dude, this sound is coming, and that's when maintenance is going to start building up and become more expensive for you. Because as the owners, when we're on the truck driving it, any small noise we hear, we make sure we investigate it, and from there, it's just a small minor mistake, just like $100, $200 fix. But when it comes to that $2,000-$3,000 fix, that's when the issues start building up. But like I said, like a regular car, you maintain it, you'll be successful. No, there's no big issues on a food truck.
It's crazy, man. I've heard that from so many people that your employees are your biggest enemy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so as far as the food trucks go, as far as like how they function, I saw that a lot of them were plugged up like electronically, right?
Mhm.
So it doesn't just run completely on gas.
No, so when it's plugged up in to one of the outlets outside, that has a AC unit. So a lot of these food trucks sell, for example, fish. And when it comes to serve safe material, like fish has to be within a certain temperature, and plugging it in gives it another wall outlet. So when you start cooking, let's say, for example, you have an event, the truck doesn't run on gas when it comes to turning on the gas or the grill. The fryer, we have a generator that we use.
Okay.
And usually the higher generator you have, the better everything is going to work out. So a lot of food trucks have 2 generators or one very nice, expensive generator. And they last a really long time.
So everything is kind of powered independently.
Correct, yes.
So just transporting the truck is when you guys stress the engine. and then when you're there, you try to use an external power
Exactly.
source.
We turn off the engine. Yep.
That's smart. That makes sense. I thought it was running the whole time. Wow.
So
Okay.
that would be a lot of big maintenance issues.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's crazy. They
Yeah.
just run these
Yeah.
things. Wow. See, I was at an event maybe I want to say like 2 years ago, and there
Nice.
was a food truck event. I went with my family, and I decided to go to like a hibachi food truck, and it was good. But they had, man, the line was crazy, and I remember looking at it, and I was like, wow, like they might be dry all week, but this one event will definitely take care of them throughout.
For a while.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? It'll
Yep.
pay. So how many events do you guys shoot for a month?
So since we both actually have our own careers at the same time, where we do this as a side gig at the same time, we shoot for 3 events a week, and those 3 events make more than what we're making our salary, not complete salary, but what we're making on a typical day. So in the other 3 days, we just sit back, relax, and work on other stuff when it comes to the food truck itself. But if we really wanted to run ourselves off and work 7 days a week, we have a bunch of people calling us like, hey, we heard your food is good. Hey, we want to book you for tomorrow's event. Like apartment, the big thing nowadays, because of this whole COVID-19, are apartments.
Apartments.
Yep. So that's how a lot of these food trucks are surviving right now.
I was gonna get to that.
They're going to a lot of apartments and feeding people at home. That's the convenience of a food truck. A restaurant can't do that. You got to have Uber Eats, and Uber Eats take that commission. So that's another issue.
Wow.
Mhm.
So that's been the strategy with COVID-19 has been go to the source now
Exactly.
that people can't come to us.
Make their life
Wow.
easier. You're working from home. Hey, you don't have to cook. We got the food downstairs for you.
Right. We got the
So
food fresh and ready to go.
yeah,
Wow, man, that's crazy. See, it's those kind of things that this channel is all about, man. Just diving into different people's paths and really seeing how you got to make it work. Because it's one thing to step in and just take a business over and manage a business, but it's another thing to get it going, build the systems, find how to patch the holes, and just get it to where it
mm.
is. So especially with COVID-19, what kind of issues have you guys faced as far as like health concerns? Have they been like cracking down on you guys a lot more?
They have been cracking down a lot more, but hey, as soon as you wear, if you just wear your mask and you have your gloves on, they won't give you a problem. And we're also doing like online ordering. So when we head to apartments, we give them the link where we can even drop it off right in front of their house. They don't have to open the door till we drop it off, hit the complete button, and they just take their food and they leave us a review and they're like, hey, thanks for that. It was amazing. So, I mean, we started off like 3 months ago now. And that's exactly when Corona happened. But as I say, as a lot of people say, we're all slaves to money. But if you have a passion and you work and you put the effort into that passion, no matter what it is, whether it's, I know a lot of people say, oh, you like art. Where's that going to take you? But if you're good at what you do and you have a passion for it, you're going to go out, create that art, and make that money. Because that's what entrepreneurs do. They take risks other people won't. And other people are too busy saying, hey, man, don't do a food truck. It's COVID-19 season, man. You're not going to go anywhere. What about all these apartments?
What about that first day?
Exactly, yeah.
You guys hit 3 bands in a day.
Yeah.
That's a blessing, man. Wow, that's great to hear. So what about like scratch COVID, right? What are some of like the health concerns, regulations? What are some of the things that you have to like be up to date about when just having a food truck in general?
That's a great question. So one thing a lot of people don't know is when you get into the food truck industry, a lot of people think, oh, it's a food truck, easy. The most difficult part about opening a food truck is the healthcare industry. Well, the health industry. So Georgia Department of Health, they give you a tough time because you have to have a commissary. Commissary has to have certain sink, 3-compartment sink. Food truck has to have like, say, a garbage can. Everything has to be specific, and they want it at specific locations. So if the biggest issue is people will build a food truck and then try to get their food truck like certified, but that's the biggest, like you just wasted a whole lot of money there because you didn't build it the way they want it. And if you don't build it the way they want it, you're not getting that license. But a lot of people, I'm not going to lie, they do have a food truck. They do things illegally. I wouldn't consider saying it illegally. They do private events. And if you're doing private events, you don't have to have a license because you're going to their house, their location, their party. It's up to them. They can sue you if you want, and you'd be in big trouble. But That's absolutely up to them. But when you have everything certified, you have the state backing you up. So that's the big thing.
Wow. So what have you guys faced any issues?
We have not. But another thing I never mentioned is how much it costs. All of this stuff.
Time to get into the good part, right?
It takes for us to like just get through the health department. I mean, this industry. Anything you want to happen is money. Money is going to be a thing. So it's almost like $9,000 from health department doing inspections because you have to have the fire department come out. They have to check out your commissary. And if you don't have a commissary, who's ever restaurant you're renting out of, that's another reason why people don't want to rent it out, because they have the health department come through and check out everything in detail, which is a big issue.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was gonna ask you that. I was like, I know a lot of people that do real estate, and especially during now, commercial real estate's kind of plummeting. I would
Yeah.
think people would be desperate to rent space, but that's why.
That's why, exactly. Their space is not legal enough
Oh,
for it to be a commissary.
because when you rent it out, you got the health department snooping around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And then if for example, let's say a health department catches you doing a private event, they can a lot of people can just, if they work for the health department, they can literally come up to your truck and see, let me see your license. If they don't see your license, even if it's a private event, you're out of there. So they could do what they want. A lot of famous food trucks, whether it's in San Fran or here, a lot of them shut down because of the health departments, because they haven't done things the right way. And another big thing is when you get a food truck, every county has different expectations from that food truck. So you have to have a permit for every county. So for example, if I have a Gwinnett County permit, I can't go to DeKalb County and just start serving food on the street, because DeKalb County has different things than Gwinnett County.
What are some of those things?
So some of those things are, for example, if you park somewhere, you have to have a bathroom near that location. Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense kind of, but like, it's like, come on, man. If you're going to come get food, just go somewhere else for for a bathroom. But
right.
That's one issue. The one issue people don't like. Also, like inspection. People want things certain places, and that's why that county those counties have their own inspectors. It's not like a universal inspector, so they want to come themselves and check it out themselves. So that's another thing.
Do you think it's an issue that a lot of the people in these institutions, right? For example, the health committee, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't run a food truck. They don't know the ins and outs. They don't know how hard it is to get things up to speed and, all the details that go into it. Yet they want to come in and they want to tell you all these things that you're not doing right and all these things you have to get up to speed. Do you almost feel like they're being insensitive at times? Because, like, let's be real, man. Like, okay, yeah, things have to be to a certain level to be healthy. I get that. But if you want to do something your own way, like, you should be able to do it your own way. Like, why do you got to have a trash can right here and there has to be a bathroom within 100? That's kind of that's OD, It's
the money. That's all it is.
You think so?
I feel like a big part of that is you fail an inspection, cool. You have to have another inspector come out. Some counties charge you for that second inspection. That's more money. It's not like if you get your car inspected, they put a red tag on there, you go back, they don't charge you. Food truck, you have a bad inspection, they have to come back, so they have to get out of their way, and they'll charge you more money for that. So, I mean, inspection wise, I feel like it's also important because, of course, like, you don't want to go against the health inspection because the people's health is very important. So, I mean, they know what they're doing. But for example, like before I was in the food industry, some simple things people wouldn't know is like, you can't put Clorox on top of a shelf and then below that shelf, you can't have food because you can contaminate it. Or something as simple as, you have a cutting board. You just finished cutting up vegetables. You shouldn't use that same side to also cut up the meat. It's just cross-contamination, so it's not good.
Wow. Okay. So do you think that maybe they kind of set things up like that to generate the money, is what you're saying? Like, you think that they make it so nitpicky so that it's almost like a revenue stream. They got to keep coming back out. Yeah. They got to charge you, and you want to get up and running.
Exactly.
Money.
Yeah.
So you have. It's almost.
And
like
at the same time, they know you're going to be making money, so they have to make sure they're getting their portion. Before we even got our inspection, I'd constantly be in the Department of Health, and I'd have people in front of me. They'd just leave the office pissed as hell because like the smallest thing, like, oh, you haven't done this or you haven't done that. I'm like, just the fact that you came like an hour drive because your commissary is somewhere else, because every commissary also has different prices. Like this is closer to the city, so it's a lot more expensive than some commissary in Savannah, for example. It'll be a lot cheaper. So people literally drive that distance because they want to operate their food truck here, but they have an office there. So yeah.
In Savannah, yeah, we're like 15 minutes.
I mean,
out.
Another thing people do is they'll get a commissary like far away just because it's cheap. It's, for example, this is a great example for people who are in like the car industry. You have to have like a small office, if you want to start your own like dealership. But when do you ever go inside that office? Like never. Everything operates wherever the cars are. So same thing with your food truck. You can't do this legally. You can't park your food truck at your house every day. So if people start doing that, that's another way you get your food truck business taken away, because neighbors will complain, of course, saying, "Hey, there's a food truck parked here every single day." Those darn HOAs.
And it's those little things that this is all about. We get to dive into the mindset, the background, the lifestyle of operating a food truck. And it's like the more you dive in, the more you learn. And the more I'm kind of shocked because, like I said earlier, I didn't even know this was a thing, man. I didn't know there was like a home base. Like, it was kind of cool. Like I thought we were meeting at your personal office. And then I pull up and I was like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. Like,
Yeah,
it's like everything's here. Like, and I've seen a lot of these food trucks and I didn't know that they were stationed here.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I came in here, I was amazed too. I was wild. Like the different things people come up to design their food trucks. Like there's a food truck here that it's called All Around the World. Literally the way it's up and running is all solar panels. Like I've never seen such a thing, but it's really cool. So you see a lot of really cool things around here. And really, I mean, the nice thing about the food truck industry, which is another reason why I'm glad I joined it, everyone who owns a food truck, you'll never see a mean person. Like everyone is so nice. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a Southern thing, but at the same time, just the business owners and food trucks want each other to survive. So everyone's just doing their part to helping other people out.
So I noticed that you were at Moreland, that event that happened down in Atlanta, right? Was it on Moreland? It was, or not Moreland? It was on Glenwood or
Glenwood, yeah, like East Moreland, like where you can go bar hopping and whatnot.
Yes. Well, that's Moreland, right?
That's more. I believe it's Moreland.
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard that there was a huge shooting there.
Yeah, there's always dangerous things that happen.
Didn't that happen that night, or there were like a bunch of people got shot?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Not to your knowledge. Oh, because I was gonna bring that up to you. I was like, is everybody in the food truck industry?
No, but just in general, like that area, like. Something always happens, whether it's someone getting robbed or someone this or that. It's just, you just have to be careful. It's like the issue in today's world is always something happening. It's up to them to actually be careful and keep in mind what's happening around them.
Wow. So how has being in Atlanta helped you guys' pursuit?
So yeah, before I even went into the industry, I mean, I thought this whole thing through. So first and foremost is, why do I want to open up a food truck and not a restaurant? Overhead is a lot less than a restaurant. I went and thought about like what's the worst that can happen. If I open up a restaurant, I lose a lot of money because the lease is there and everything. But with a food truck, like I bought the food truck, that's my property. If I'm not doing well, I can go ahead and sell the truck, and that your money's coming back. So that's something that people don't really take into effect when they want to go into something. They just think, oh, I'm going to buy this and my money's going to get lost. Like, no, your money's not. It's an asset. At the same time, it could be a liability too because of all the mechanical issues that can come up. But it's things like that you have to think of. And once I thought of, I'm going to go into a food truck, that's when I put into effect how much food do I have to buy a week or per event. And once you put into effect everything, that's when you figure out, okay, I'm going to be making this much money and this is how much I'll be spending. And our profits was a lot more than our spending. And that's when I went into it.
So do you think that there's something about Atlanta that has helped, or is food trucks?
Oh, absolutely. Atlanta. Oh man, I love Atlanta. Atlanta's like a movie. I follow Georgia followers, and just like the things you see is funny. But it's a lot of markets nowadays are saturated. Like, for example, why didn't I open up in New York? There's chicken over rice everywhere in New York. So the main reason why I chose Georgia is there are no good chicken shawarma food trucks. We're actually the first chicken shawarma food truck, and we're rated one of the best shawarmas by the people we've served so far after giving them our surveys. So that's, I mean, one of the biggest reasons why we chose Georgia. And me just being black, Georgia's like the best place for black entrepreneurs. So it's a great place for me to get started.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Atlanta's like a little hub. There's a little bit of everything going on here.
It is. And it's very, I mean, yeah, it's the number one place for black entrepreneurs, but very culturally diverse. So that's another thing. So there are people like yourself, Lebanese, and there's all sorts of other people out here. So it's a really cool environment out here.
Wow. So I don't know too much about the food truck industry, right? But you have your main truck, and then you obviously you run all the accounting, the books, you book events, right? I'm guessing.
Correct. Yeah.
So you do like all the orders, shipments, that kind of stuff,
Exactly.
mechanical fixes, and then your partner focuses on making sure the food's A1, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So what is your plan for the future? Like how do you plan to expand the model? Like what are some of the systems that you're putting in place so that other people can start filling them in and you guys can start pumping out more trucks?
So what we're having right now is we want to do more like fundraising events that a lot of food trucks aren't thinking about. So one thing we were actually thinking about is mounting a TV onto the food truck, and people have 2K tournaments or FIFA tournaments, and raise the money for a good cause. And from there, we have a comfier place when it comes to like our finance. And then from there, we're at the stage right now where we're looking to hire people. But that's the biggest stage. Like, it's tough to find someone. Yeah, the thing about a food truck is they first of all have to know how to drive a food truck, because it's not just a regular car that you can just pull up. Another thing is we have to train the cook for at least a couple of weeks. It has to be a good chef, because another reason a lot of people fail in the food truck industry is because they're the owners. They're like, okay, I'm going to hire people, let them run the food truck, but then the customer service is terrible. The food is not as expected. Something that I like about us too right now, obviously, is our food's A1. So, and our customer service is the best. And so we're in that hiring stage where we're on Facebook, Indeed, constantly just interviewing people for good customer service and being a good chef. And the way we do that is set up a meeting with them. And a lot of people just look at resumes. I'm not a big fan of just resumes because, I majored in pharmaceutical science, but I'm not doing anything to do with pharmaceutical science. Another thing, people always talk about, like, why are you in the food industry? Because I have a passion for it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so what I do is typically when it comes to interviews, I want it to be like, it's more of a role playing type of thing. So I can see, once you're doing role playing, yeah, people get nervous, but at the same time, you have a gist of how this person is and if they're going to be fit to be working in a food truck for, if we want them to be there for 8 hours a day. Because our end goal is, of course, to have the food truck go to like downtown, for example, and just work the entire day. Because like I said, the food truck's not running, it's a generator. You hire employees, you can make an indefinite amount of money. So employees are tough in today's world. So you can have hire someone, the next day they don't show up. So that's just a big revenue loss. And not only that, but customer service. That person that was expecting you to be there is just pissed, and there goes your name.
Your lead.
Yep, exactly.
Wow. So, see, that just goes back to what we were saying earlier, that your employees can be your biggest enemy. Yeah,
Exactly.
you can grow on them, but they can be your biggest enemy.
Yeah, the most important part is that a lot of corporate companies aren't doing well is you have to treat them well. So that's one thing. Like, once we actually hire someone, that's our biggest thing. My partner and I both thought about it, is like, you got to make sure we pay them well, make sure they're flexible, like work through their schedule and allow them to come on the food truck, be happy, and do what they like to do. So that's our goal. And from there is how you grow.
So now that we've ran through everything, all right? We've ran through a lot of the good details, and now this is the part where someone who's listening, they can just kind of close their eyes and expect to open them back up in the food truck. We're at an event, there's people in line. What's the mindset of a food truck industry, just in general? Like, when you're there and you see the line and you guys are throwing things out and everything's going good, what's the mindset? Is it almost the type of thing where you're not looking to the end goal? You're just trying to get through the day, or what's
Oh
going on
no!
in
So
there?
our both our mindsets, like my partner and I, we love having conversations. So when we see that big line, it's not our goal is not to, hey, what do you want to order? All right, peace out, bro. It's more to have that experience, that food truck experience. That's the thing. It's like, why do I want to come out to a food truck? The main thing is the experience. Because if you could go to any other restaurant, more convenient, a little bit nicer, but coming out to a food truck, you have that one-on-one experience with the chef, with the owners. And then after giving them the food, like when they take a spoon of that, they're like, that facial reaction is what just like, wow. Like, it's like, it would just, you're doing what you're doing right. So it's really awesome. And seeing the big line is just like, I can't wait to feed all these people because I know they'll like my food. It's not what if, it's, but I know they'll like my food.
That's the confidence, man.
Exactly.
See, that's what gets you far. Wow. So you mentioned earlier that you guys try to do a lot of the things that the corporate food trucks aren't doing, right? So as far as corporate food trucks go, I didn't even know there was different sectors within the food truck. What are some of the things that you could say people like Slutty Vegan or some of the more commonly known food trucks? What do you think is something that they're doing that you look at, you admire, but that you would do differently as far as your growth?
So Slutty Vegan, something they did really well is marketing.
Okay.
A lot of people in this industry that like we're young. I'm 24. My partner's 22. We're go-getters. So a lot of people in this industry are kind of older and older, the elderly mature, and also they don't want to go out of their way to do marketing or do this. Like their goal is to, I'll get one person, I'll try to stay at that parking lot for the rest of my life because I'm passing by. But what Slutty Vegan did is she thought about everything, her menu. Another thing people don't do is something Slutty Vegan does is they ask their customers, oh, what should we name this new cuisine that we're having? Getting your customers engaged and not just doing everything on your own. That's something that we're looking to do further ahead. But something that Slutty Vegan does that we feel we could do differently and further gain AnA Shawarma? That's a great question.
Not even Slutty Vegan, just some of the major players, right? Because like for me, right, I got, Timeshare podcast. I listen to these, of course, and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to shut up more. Maybe I need to, ask a question in this direction. And I try to analyze myself. But another thing I do is I'll look at other more popular platforms and I'll say, okay, what are they doing that I like? And how can I take that same idea, incorporate it into, my podcast, but do it in my own way? Because another thing that we always talk about on the channel, man, is that no one's going to have the same path. Like, even if you did everything Slutty Vegan did, you wouldn't be at the same level. Even if I do everything that, someone like Joe Rogan, Concrete Podcast, someone like there's a lot of big podcasts that there's kind of, they found their own groove. And that's what I'm kind of doing. I'm finding my own little niche and I'm just riding with it. So as far as AnA Shawarma, and you guys are involved, you guys, you're a little past the point where you have your feet wet. You guys are seeing some of the big players. What are some of the things you want to do differently that other people aren't doing?
So the biggest thing that we want to get started doing, like I said, is having that like gaming experience at the same time while having food truck. Because a lot of people, what they do is for example, they like to play games and they also like food. A lot of people are like that. And so I've been doing surveys around the area of like, for example, like what type of games people like to play, how long people play games within my area, how many times people go out to eat. I go in depth with those surveys so that instead of me just wasting money and putting something on a truck, I have a general gist. A prime example is like, for example, we didn't know what type of drinks we want to serve on the food truck. Before we went ahead and just bought a bunch of drinks, we had a survey throughout the entire Georgia, actually, asking what type of drinks people like. And so we took the top 3 and we started buying that, and people love the drinks. So, oh, that's what I wanted. So we plan on doing the same thing with this fundraising / gaming event, having a good cause for it, because a lot of food trucks aren't doing that. Like they're doing it for the money. I mean, yes, everyone likes money, but also at the same time, I was someone who came from Kenya. Not everyone has that advantage. So we want to be able to fundraise. And by doing so, I feel like having gaming events, trying to get NBA players to come out and enjoy that with the people, I feel like is the type of niche we're looking for. So not only do we have food, but we also have video games. People can come out, have a seat, play games.
Love it, man. Wow.
Mm.
So, what's the booking process like? Like, if I wanted to book you for an event, how like does it vary in price depending on what the event is? Is there a standard price? How does the whole booking go for your food truck?
So our food truck, it depends. So, for example, if someone wants to book a truck for 3 hours, I'll say our minimum is three. I mean, minimum we typically do is 3 hours, $500, and then we typically go by hourly. So the more hours you want it, the higher the minimum pay is, and then from there, like if you people want, like they can set a minimum pay, but on top of that minimum pay, they can say, hey, we're gonna make you pay like $600 for 4 hours, but if you have beyond like 80 people showing up, we'll give you the first 30 people with included in that 600, and then after those 30 people, we're gonna charge you like $11, like
Oh,
per
person.
per per person, exactly.
Wow.
Another thing a lot of people don't really know about, but we're also going into the niche besides video games, are weddings. Instead of people having to cater for weddings, why don't you just bring out a food truck? That's a big headache out of the way. Catering is big, so
Wait,
that's
so they hire you and then you guys just serve unlimited, or like do people still have to pay at the event?
so no. So the people, so whose ever wedding it is, or who's ever in charge of the wedding, we make them purchase tickets beforehand,
Oh,
and then they
okay.
can just take tickets and bring it up, and then we give them the food. So
Oh, that makes sense. You can keep
or
track.
yeah, or if we could also keep track by, let's say, how many people have you invited to the wedding? So 80 people. We have a POS system where we track every single person who comes up, and once we reach that 80 mark, that's everything she paid for, and then we start charging
And then
by.
we start charging.
Or we won't even charge them. We'll just charge her at the end for the rest of the people.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Mm.
Wow, so that's not even bad, man.
No, and they
That's
don't have to
crazy.
clean. They can think about other stuff. It works out a lot smoother.
Wow.
Mm.
I know you said you're getting married soon. Are you gonna have your own food truck at the wedding?
I already got married.
Oh, you already got married.
Yeah, like
Oh,
three
I thought you
months
said
ago.
like, oh, I thought by got married you meant like you like asked.
Oh no, I mean, the way like our culture works is like once there's like when you're engaged and then you're married. Like
Oh yeah.
once you ask for the hand, you're basically married.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay,
there's
okay.
there's no engagement. Then like you go out, have fun, and then get married in like a year or two. It's more like you ask for the hand, and then next day you're married.
Wow. See, that's a really good idea, man, that you're trying to get into the concept of eliminating catering. Because especially in this day and age, and I guess with coronavirus,
Yeah.
I hate to keep bringing it up because I feel like the second I hear someone talk about
Everyone's
coronavirus,
talking about it nowadays.
yeah, man, the second
It's
I hear
annoying.
about coronavirus, I just want to turn it off, like
Exactly,
interview,
right?
whatever it is. So I try not to talk about it too much, but
Yeah.
as you know, we do have to look at things and adapt, right? That is really smart that you guys are trying to eliminate catering, and it's just the type of thing where you can just hire the food truck, A1 service. You don't got to worry about any of the overhead besides standard fee,
Exactly. Yeah.
and that's it. Because my sister got married about 2 years ago, and I remember her talking to me about how that was probably the biggest headache was catering
Exactly. Yeah.
and making sure that there's staff there to take the food out and exchange the empty stuff. But if you just had a food truck, it'd be a one and done. Wow.
Yeah, and same thing with corporate companies. A big issue a lot of people, event coordinators, have is catering. Like they have to go to 10 different places to find the right food that they want. A few places nowadays is they have, instead of have an event coordinator coordinate what they want for the company, they just have food truck event every Friday. So you just bring a food truck there and it eliminates the whole catering business. So it's insane, but food trucks are growing. It's a growing industry, like extremely growing industry. So
I can tell,
I'm very
man.
excited for it.
Wow.
We
So
have ahead of us.
you said that you kind of have a career on the side. What exactly do you do on the side right now?
So on the side, I also do, I have my own essay business because I'm good at writing essays and also resumes. So just help. I like to help people out. So I just help people out who aren't able to get jobs, and I help them get jobs.
So how are you looking into transitioning from stepping away from that completely into and just diving deep into food trucks? Like at what point in time is it going to be the type of thing where you're like, okay, cool, I can just completely dive into this and eliminate the other stuff that I was doing?
So that's the exact stages once we hire employees. At that stage, I'm like, okay, now we got this food truck out of the way. It's passive income. let me open up another one. And that's where you go on from there. And then at that point, you don't have time for any other side business and just focus on the food truck and get another one and just keep going from there.
So does having one commissary, does that fulfill the role of multiple food trucks, or is
it
it per?
does.
Wow, so you can
Yep.
really
So it
just
makes
stay
life
here.
a lot easier. Yep.
Wow, do you got to pay for spots?
You do. Yeah. Parking.
Oh, okay, so you
Yeah.
do pay for parking, but they don't care how many trucks you have as long as you
No,
got one base.
exactly. Yep.
Do you guys use the base a lot considering you have the restaurant?
Not as much. We use our restaurant a lot more because it's just more convenient because we both live in Gwinnett County. So wake up in the morning, cook everything, prep everything there, and then cook it, and then just come out here, put everything on the food truck, and then call it a day. This like I said, like when you came in, it's a lot nicer. Like it's got your nice personal AC, a nice cool room. If we were thinking about it, you know, if we really wanted, we can make it like our cool chill spot. So just put a TV in there and just have a cool day. Like after, so a big thing that we use that with is after we're finished with everything, where are we going to clean all the supplies? So that's a great place to clean.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have your own little area.
Exactly. Clean dishes, knives, clean our food truck. So that's another thing.
So what are some of your goals for the food truck? Like how many trucks do you want to have before you're like, okay, I did the mission? Like what's your goal looking forward? What can we expect from AnA?
My goal with AnA is at least to have about 5 food trucks running, and not all in only Atlanta. I am looking in Oregon where it's huge. Food truck is huge out there. So, and they don't have many good shawarma food trucks. So I like to travel and see which states really need a food truck and which states don't have good tasting culturally different type of food, you know? So after getting those 5 food trucks, have build another like sister company or build an AnA shawarma restaurant. That's the goal. And that restaurant I want to most definitely be in Atlanta. So that's our end goal right there.
So Atlanta is definitely gonna stay the home spot.
Home spot, exactly. I love Atlanta. So
Atlanta, man, it's the type of thing where I had another guy on here. He's a like executive producer, right? He owns a media company, and he was saying that the really important thing about Atlanta is it hasn't completely developed into its thing. You know, like LA
Exactly.
is Hollywood, the film industry. New York is like the fashion type district and whatnot. But Atlanta,
still developing.
it can be anything it needs to be.
Yeah.
Wow. So I see for someone who's listening to this, man, and they feel alone, right? And maybe they're not pursuing a food truck, maybe they're not pursuing even an entrepreneurial type of path, but they just feel alone, man. And they want to take the step into pursuing something that they're passionate about, but they're kind of limited. They're stuck. They don't believe in themselves. And not only they don't believe in themselves, but they just haven't seen the ability to really get out there until, you know, of course, hearing someone's story like yourself and many of the other people that have come on. But my question to you is, what is the message that you want to give somebody who's listening to this, who feels alone, but has that desire that you had at one point in time and that you pursued? Because let's be real, man, you said this has been going for what, 3 months?
Yeah.
So in January, there was no AnA shawarma.
No.
It was just a vision.
Exactly.
And now we're sitting here and you guys have done how many events?
We've done over 50. Yeah.
You know, like,
So
you're living truth.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody right now who's listening?
I mean, my biggest thing would be life is a test. Don't let things just knock you down and always get back up, because there's everyone, whether you're rich or poor, you can't run away from problems. The rich have problems, the poor have problems. It's just the way you take it. And the way I take it, for example, is I'm always staying positive. So whatever happens in life, stay positive and don't let anything put you down. It's easier said than done. But really, you have to stay true to that. So if you're trying to, for example, our biggest block was the health department. They kept on rejecting us. A lot of people would have been like, you know what, I'm done with this. I don't want to pay any more money. I'm just done. But your goal is to start networking, figuring out who's doing things better, having a good mentor, and see what they did so that you don't make those same mistakes. But at the same time, when those big issues come in your pathway, I'm telling you, just get back up, do what you got to do, and you'll be successful in life. Don't ever listen to what other people have to say about you. Just ignore all the negativity, because people in general will just say, good luck. You're not going to do well in that business. You're not going to do well in this business. I mean, you yourself probably like having Middle Eastern parents. Oh, you're gonna go into podcasting. What is that gonna do for you? So like, it's like whatever you have a passion for. Don't listen to other people, and dive into that passion and prove everyone wrong. That's what this world is about. Not every NBA player just woke up one day and said, "I'm gonna be an NBA player." They had to work for where they are, and a lot of trials and tribulations from there.
Wow. I love it, man. So do you guys have like how does someone who's listening right now that wants to book an event, how do they get in touch with you? Like how do they book an event? Do you guys have a landing page?
Yeah, so we do. We have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, and we also have our website, AnA But majority of the people that contact us is nowadays been word of mouth. So they contact us at AnA@gmail.com or our business phone number, which is also on our Instagram page.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man. So it's all the pages are AnA Shawarma,
Correct. Yep.
and that's just gonna get them straight to you.
Straight to us. Yep.
Damn. And then now we gotta speak to the chef, but he's not feeling good.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to have him on, even if it's pushed out until he feels all right.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm hoping he doesn't have COVID or nothing, but you know, people forgot
Yeah.
that you can just get sick, man. That's one thing that this whole COVID shit did is people forgot like, oh, I can have a cold. Like,
Yeah. No.
everything's
No,
COVID.
I love my partner, and he's going to be an awesome addition to this podcast. So I'm sure everyone will look forward to it and love what he has to say because he's very upbeated person and very outgoing. So it'll be exciting.
Exciting to have him on.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, believe it or not, we're almost at an hour.
Wow.
I know you're a very busy guy. You know, you run multiple businesses and, you know, you're a married man. And I just want to go ahead and thank you so much for doing this, sitting down with us, letting us get behind the mindset of someone who owns a food truck, but more importantly, just another entrepreneur who's out here pushing the same motive that you can get out there, find your own path, be passionate, and succeed. 3 months, 50 events, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like, I really do appreciate
problem,
you sitting
man.
down. I know you're a busy guy, and I hope that this isn't the last time, you know?
Absolutely.
I know we're going to get in touch with, what was the other guy's name?
Ozzy.
Ozzy. I know we're
Yeah.
going to get in touch with Ozzy, but just even right here, man, we need to stay in touch. The people want to continue to see the growth, and we believe in you, man.
Yeah, I mean that's how we came out of the name because my name's Abbas, his real name's Azimullah, so that's how we came up with AnA. So a lot of people ask, you know, what's the name AnA about? It's Abbas and Azimullah Shawarma.
That's
So
awesome, man.
that is it for you guys, AnA Shawarma.
Hell yeah, man. Well, just like every other time, my name is Charbel Milan. Today we got,
Abbas.
and this has been a time shared. Thank you so much.